Hey FlossTube, welcome back. This is my 102nd FlossTube video, and I'm excited to share with you everything that I have been working on. But first of all, I want to welcome you. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I hope that you enjoy the things that I have to share with you. And if you are coming back, thank you for coming back and watching my videos. I really appreciate it. It's been quite a while. In fact, I think it's been almost 2 months since my last video. Things have been really busy around here. We took a week off and traveled up north to visit family, which was really nice. So that's one thing that happened, and we've had Saturdays where we've had people working on different things in our house, and so there just hasn't been a really good time or opportunity to make a video. So that's why it's been so long. But I have a lot to show you, and I'm excited to share those things with you. Things are going really well here. The monsoon has really cranked up this year. It's kind of nice because we've had a couple of years when the monsoon has been a real dud, but the last 3 or 4 weeks, the humidity's really gone up. We've had dew points in the lower 60s, and even this week we hit the 70s. We have had rain. This is the second day of almost all day rain. And usually the rain that we get during monsoon is like really heavy thunderstorms. We haven't been getting thunderstorms. We've just had some really nice light rain, and it's been raining like for hours on end. It's not typical. I don't ever remember having monsoon storms like this. It rained almost all day yesterday. This morning it was raining, and they're saying that we are going to even get some rain tomorrow. And the temperatures are down in the upper 70s, lower 80s. It's kind of heavenly. This is really great. It's really fun to actually have this much rain. We don't usually see that here. So I'm actually kind of enjoying the monsoon right now. It's supposed to dry out a little bit, and the temperature is supposed to start going back up at the beginning of next week. So we'll just enjoy it while we can. Even though the temperatures are really low, it's really muggy. You can feel the water in the air, which for Arizona, you don't ever feel the water in there. You can feel it and you can smell it. So it's really cool. Anyway, but yeah, everything's going well. Our family's doing well, and we're just enjoying the Arizona summer. Before we talk about cross stitch, I'm going to share with you a couple of knitting things. As I mentioned, we went up north to visit family, and I packed cross stitch to do, and got up to start working on it and realized that I'd left my floss at home. But I'd also packed knitting, and so instead of cross stitching, I knit. Actually, this past month, my cross stitching has kind of been minimal, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I've been working on my Hue Shift Afghan, so I'll show you how far I've got on that. Of course, this is what I've been working on. This is a pattern from Knit Picks, and it's an Afghan made with 11 different colors. You knit mitered squares together, and then you basically knit 4 panels, and then you sew the panels together, and then there's a border that you knit around the ends. So I finished all 4 panels. I don't know that I'm going to be able to show this to you because it's really big, and I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to give you a complete picture, but I finished the 4th panel at the beginning of this week, and I've spent the week sewing the 4 panels together. That actually took longer than I thought it would. And I've started on the border, so I've started knitting the first border right here, so you can kind of see that. But this is kind of what it looks like when it's all all put together. It's bigger than I thought it was gonna be, but as you can see the center are those yellow orange blocks, and then like up towards here it goes towards blue and purple. This is of course going to purple. This is the same as the other corner, going down to the blue and purple, and over here is going to blue. So let's see if I can do this. I'll try to back up and give you a good look. Yeah. So I'm on the home stretch and looking forward to actually finishing this. I have a deadline. I told you when I first started on this, the deadline was August. I have like 3 weeks to finish this. So I'm trying to do that. So I've got to knit 20 rows of garter stitch on 4 sides, and I'm on the first side. So I think it's likely that I'll be able to finish it, but we'll see how that goes. Okay. So anyway, it feels like it's almost finished, and that's kind of exciting. The other thing I did, I actually ran out of one of the colors of yarn, and I had to wait for it to arrive in order to be able to finish that. So that was being shipped to me while we were out of town. So instead of working on that when we were out of town, I knit socks. And I showed you these a while ago. So these are socks that are knit with, this is Knit Picks yarn. I don't remember what kind of yarn it is. I know it's one of their superwash merino lines. The color is called Nevermore. It's got blues and purples and greens and blacks in it. So I finished knitting one sock. So here's one of my finished socks. Yeah, I really like these colors. And I started on the second sock, and I made it up past the heel, and I'm starting to work up the cuff, up the leg. So there's my second sock. There's my first sock. And yeah, I'm really happy with them. I really like the colors, and I like the effect of what this looks like right now. I use this book for my sock patterns. This is called Simple Socks, Plain and Fancy. It's a book by Priscilla Gibson Roberts, and I really like this pattern. The heels are short row heels, and I like the look of the short row heel. I'll show it to you again. It almost looks, it looks very similar to a sock that you would buy in the store, to the heel that is in that. So and the heel is the same as the toe. So you knit the toe, and when you get up to where you put in the heel, you knit another toe basically, and then you have a heel. So yeah. So that's all the knitting I've been doing. As you can see, I've been doing probably quite a bit. The socks actually go a lot faster once I get into a rhythm. I am knitting these are Knit Picks double points. These are size 1. And then when you get about halfway up the leg, you switch over to size 2. And I have these size 2 double points. They're wooden, and I really like them. So that's what I knit socks with, is with double points. Okay. Yeah, so that's all of my knitting. Before I show you my cross stitch stuff, I've had a couple of people ask me some questions, and so I'm going to respond to some of the questions that I've been asked since my last video. First of all, Jane asked me about the 40 count Verdal even weave that I am using to stitch Louise Lallier. She asked me if it was easier to find the holes to stitch in on that as opposed to regular 40 count linen. And I would say yes. I mean, it's even, it's not quite as slubby as linen is. And so it's a really nice even fabric, and it just feels really good. And yes, it is pretty easy to find the holes in the fabric. Geneva asked me if I use a thread conditioner like Thread Magic when I stitch with silk. And no, I don't. I started using what was it, Thread Heaven years ago. I tried it out, and I didn't think it did anything for me, and I really don't like the idea of dragging my thread through some substance before I stitch with it. So I used it for a little bit, but not for very long. So I don't use a thread conditioner on any of the threads that I stitch with. Of course, your mileage may vary. Okay, and then Candy asked me, what do I mean by burying my threads on the front? I think this is in reference to Anne Boret, which is I'm stitching. It's a Hands Across the Sea samplers that uses Montenegrin stitch, and she asked me, what do you mean when you bury your threads in the front? So when I end my threads, usually what I do is I just drag the tail that I want to end off with underneath some stitches on the back. That's how I end my threads. But when you're stitching reversibly, there are some stitches like the alternating double back stitch. On the front, it looks like kind of like cross stitch. On the back, it looks like two lines of parallel back stitch. If you want it to look really neat and reversible, there's no place to run your tail under on the back. But the front is like cross stitch, and it's well covered. So instead of running my needle underneath stitches on the back, I just bring the thread up to the front of the fabric, and then I run the tail underneath the stitches that I've made on the front. And you can't see it. You can't see that tail once it's buried in there because the stitches on the front are dense enough that they cover it up. So that is what I mean by doing that. So, and there are some stitches where you have to do that. Montenegrin stitch, not so much, but alternating double back stitch, you're gonna have to pull your threads through on the front instead of on the back. I also had someone that asked me about this pattern, if I was ever going to start it, if I had plans to start it. This is Virginia, a Cumberland County inspiration by Heartsease Exemplar Works. And they asked me if I was ever planning on stitching this. Yes, sometime. I am intimidated by this. And the only reason I'm intimidated by this is there are a ton of spiral trellis stitches all through here, and I have not figured out how to do that stitch yet. I've played around with it, not a whole lot. I need to actually find time to sit down and play around with it to see if I can figure out how to do it. So because of that, I'm not really excited to start this until I figure that out. She says in the instructions that you can do just cross stitch instead of spiral trellis for those parts, but that kind of feels like cheating. So I don't know. So anyway, this will be. I'd love to start it. I think I have the fabric for this. I don't have the threads, but I need to figure out spiral trellis before I actually do that. Also, I had a couple of requests to see a couple of designs that I have stitched. First of all, I was asked to show my winter sampler. Of course, last time I showed you that I had started autumn sampler. These are both from a series of designs that are by Sandy Orton that are published by Cooler Design Studio. and they were sold as kits for a while. Now they are available as electronic downloads on the Cooler Design Studio website. So if you're looking for these, they're easy to find. I showed you I had a small start for Cooler Design Studio that I started in May. And this is my finished winter sampler, which I finished, I guess it's been 2 or 3 years ago. I don't know for sure. I would have to actually look it up. But this is my finished winter sampler. And this was a lot of work. There's a lot of color changes, especially Santa. Santa is really complicated. And there's a lot of backstitch here. It took me a month to do the backstitching on this piece. So it's really complicated, and I really like how it turned out. It looks really cool. I'm not interested in framing this one. I'm planning on framing all 4 at once, just so that I can frame them consistently. But yeah. Just looking at this makes me want to stitch the other 4. Because I really like this design, and I really like how it turned out. So looking forward to doing some more work on Autumn Sampler in the near future. If you'll hold on just a second, I'll get the other piece that I had a request for. I showed this, I guess it's been, the last time I showed this is after I got it framed. This is a piece that I finished stitching. Oh, it's been 5 years now, I think. It's been a long time since I finished this. In fact, I finished it before I actually started making videos. And this is actually the piece that I started parking on this, and at the time I was kind of working in diagonal columns, and I got to a point where I actually started stitching diagonally. So this is the piece that I taught myself how to stitch diagonally with. And this is a perfect setting. It's a design by Barbara and Cheryl. And of course it's a house, I believe this is a house on an island off the coast of South Carolina. I believe Lori, Mischievous Stitches, told me that. And this is a piece that I saw years and years ago, and when I saw it, I just had to stitch it. And I finally did. And of course, it's full coverage, and I just really like it. I especially like the effect of the light shining on the front of the house. I really like that effect. And I really like how this has turned out. It is hanging in our living room, and I just love looking at it and remembering what it was like to stitch this. So yeah, so this is of course a perfect setting by Graphs by Barbara and Cheryl. I think you can still find the pattern available for purchase also if you're looking for it. It was a big piece, and this is one of those pieces where you just need to learn to enjoy the journey, because if I remember right, the dimensions are 200 by 300, 60,000 stitches. There's a lot of stitches in there, but the finished product is worth it. Okay, I've got to go check one more thing, so I will be right back. Okay, so for some reason, the last video I had, I announced a giveaway for the last issue of Cross Stitch and Country Crafts, and for some reason the winner didn't end up in my show notes, so I had to go add it in. So I'm ready to announce the winner for that giveaway. Thank you everybody for participating. I really enjoyed hearing from you and enjoyed your comments. The winner of the giveaway is E.F. Bauer. So thank you, E.F. Bauer. Thank you for congratulations. I hope that you enjoy the magazine. All you need to do is send me an email or DM me on Instagram, and my email is in the notes below this video. All you need to do is send me your address so that I know where to send the magazine to you. And I hope that you enjoy stitching Amid Amish Life or any of the other cool designs that are in that magazine. So once again, thank you everybody for participating in the giveaway. Okay, so let's talk about the cross stitch that I have been doing. First of all, I'll show you a couple of graphs just to show you what I mean. This is my monthly stitches trend, and you can see that the number of stitches that I put in has really fallen off, and the number of days that I have stitched has also fallen off. Like I said, we went on a trip up north. We were in Utah on the 4th, and I ended up not being able to stitch, and I think that kind of has taken my momentum away a little bit because I haven't stitched a whole lot in July. The other thing that's happened is work is just really busy, and there are a lot of nights when I come home, eat dinner, and then work for another couple of hours trying to get a project finished up. So that hasn't helped either. And there have been nights when I've come home and haven't felt like doing much of anything. So that is coming to an end. We are starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I will be so glad when this project is over with. It's been a long project. So let's talk about what I have stitched, because I have 4 projects to show you. And then we'll talk a little bit about what my plans are for the next few weeks. So the last time that I talked to you, I don't know if I told you that I was going to stitch this, but this is it's kind of in the order that I stitched, but because I had been stitching Amid Amish Life every other week, I'm saving Amid Amish Life for last. But this is in addition to Amid Amish Life, this is the next pattern that I stitched. This, of course, is Time and Season Sampler. It's a design by Moira Blackburn. This is a pattern that my wife gave me for our anniversary last year, I think. Or it might have been the year before. Anyway, so I really like this pattern. I like it, of course, it's quoting a verse from Ecclesiastes, and I really like that verse. And I'll show you a picture of what it looked like the last time you saw it. I am stitching this on 40 count Mallow from Zweigart, and I'm stitching it, since it's 40 count, I'm stitching it with the called for DMC threads, and I'm stitching 1 strand over 2. I really enjoy this piece. I love the colors. I love the color combinations, and I really like how it's turning out. So this is what it looks like now. So basically what I stitched, I think the birds I had stitched before. So from here over, and then this from this plant over is what I stitched. And I'm working on this great big tree over here. I'm almost finished with that tree. You can kind of see I've got all the branches through here. I just need to fill in this little place of empty stitches. And so yeah. So I did quite a bit. Of course, I did finished To Every Purpose Under Heaven. And yeah. Everything is kind of mirror image right here. The trees are not exactly mirror image, but they have basically the same form mirror image. But like all the flower pots and these little things and these trees are all mirror image. So yeah, I'm really liking how this is turning out, and looking forward to being able to stitch more of it. I'll give you a little bit closer look. So yeah, I was hoping to get all of this stitched all the way over to here, and I didn't quite make it. But I did make good progress. So the next time I think I'll be able to finish here, and then I'll be able to move up and start working on the stuff that runs up above here, which looks like it's, oh yeah, another row of trees that runs through here. So this is Time and Season Sampler by Moira Blackburn. Okay. Another piece that I worked on my Chatelaine, and it had been such a long time since I worked on this. It really felt good to get back to this. This is Medieval Town Mandala, and of course I'm really enjoying working on this one also. This is one that is going to take a while because it's so big, and it's actually pretty complicated. So I'll show you a picture of what it looked like the last time you saw it. I'm stitching this on 32 count antique white Belfast linen with the called for silk, and there's also a lot of metallic in this, a lot of petite treasure braid. So a lot of gold. This is like turning into I didn't realize how sparkly this is, but there is a lot of metallic floss in this. And this is what it looks like now. So if you've been following me, I got tired of doing the same thing over and over again on this square. So I decided I'm just going to work out to a corner. And that way, instead of working on everything in circles and ending up stitching the same thing 4 or even 8 times, I'm just going to work down towards a corner and then start at another corner and work out. And that maybe will help. I'm hoping that will make it so it doesn't feel quite so repetitive. This is what I was able to stitch. Is I finished this corner here, which has some really beautiful blues in it, and I especially like this Gloriana silk that outlines it. It's just such a beautiful blue-green color, and I've made it over to the building. So I stitched my first building also, which is right over here. So my plan is I'm going to work all the way around and do all of these buildings all the way through here, and I think they come down through here too. And then there's like kind of a floral plant that fills in the corner. So I'm excited to actually start working on buildings, and we'll see some more of those when I pull this piece out again. But yeah, it's really turning out to be beautiful. There's like a whole bunch of holes in the design where there's going to be beads or crystals that will need to be attached, but I'm saving those for the very end. Otherwise, I am kind of not true to form. I am actually back stitching as I go and doing all the specialty stitches also as I go. So that's Medieval Town Mandala, and I'm hoping, I would love to finish, I'm looking forward to working on this again sometime. And then the next piece that I'm going to show you before I show you the best for last is the piece that I've been working on this week. And this is another one that I've been looking forward to stitching for a long time, and this is Dragon Quaker by Stickideen von der Wiehenburg. Of course, this is a Quaker pattern with dragons in it. I'll show you a picture of what it looked like the last time you saw it. I was actually hoping to stitch another dragon, but I didn't make it that far. This fabric is 32 count Dirty Belfast linen, and I'm stitching with the called for DMC. I love these colors. That's part of the reason why I really wanted to stitch it, is because these are like my favorite colors. I really like cool colors, and the way that they fit in this combination are really good. So the last time I showed it to you, I had finished basically the top. There's like 9 pages in the pattern, and I had finished the top 3 pages. So now I've started working on the next row of 3 pages, and I got about half of the 4th page stitched. So that includes this half medallion here, this little piece, and then this flower, I guess, and the V. I also stitched the V. So these big motifs, there's a lot more stitching in them than you would think. There's a lot of stitches in them, but I've been able to stitch. But I'm really happy with what I was able to accomplish. So yeah, so the next dragon, there's a dragon right here, and a dragon underneath also. So the next time I pull this out, I'll be stitching dragons. And then there's a great big dragon right in the middle right here. So lots of dragons coming up. But we'll have to wait in order to see them. But yeah, I'm really happy with my dragons. Okay, so in addition to those, of course, I've been stitching a mid-Amish life, and I've been stitching half monogamously, which means every other week I stitch on the same project. That's this pattern is called a mid-Amish life. It was a design that was originally published in 1987 in Cross Stitch and Country Crafts. It has been republished a couple of other times. It was published in this book, 101 Best Loved Designs from Cross Stitch and Country Crafts. It was published as its own leaflet, and it was also published in the last issue of Cross Stitch and Needlework, which was the December 2016 issue, or winter 2016. Anyway, so if you can find it, if you can find it, it'll be in either of those in either of those locations. I'll show you what it looked like the last time you saw it. And like I say, there's like at least 3 or 4 weeks of work on this since you saw it last. And I'm stitching this on 25 count Wedgewood Lugana, stitching with, because it's 25 count, because it's such a low count, I'm stitching with 3 strands of floss using the Call 4 DMC. And this is what it looks like now. So I haven't actually looked to see, but I do know I've done at least 2 or 3 diagonals. I finished I've been told this is called a buggy. I don't live in Amish country, but the people who live in Amish country have told me that this is a buggy. So I finished the buggy. The buggy is all complete. And I've started stitching the barn. The barn is up here, and I'm starting to see quite a bit of the barn. A lot of background in here. This big tree that it seemed to take forever to get through, that is finished. And I have hit the garden. So this is 3 pieces that I am stitching as one. The first piece is called Hanging the Quilts. The second piece is Visiting the Neighbors. And the line between the end of Visiting the Neighbors is like right through here. So I'm almost finished with Visiting the Neighbors. And the third piece is called Tending the Garden. So you can see I am starting to see a lot of garden. We're seeing rows of plants and people picking strawberries, I think. I think those kind of look like strawberries to me. So yeah, actually, after I finish this diagonal, I've got 2 more diagonals, and I'll hit the corner, this corner over here, and then my diagonals will start to get smaller. So when I hit this corner, things are going to start feeling like I'm on the downhill side. So I'm actually really happy with what I've been able to stitch and where I am. Let me see if I can make this a little bit more straight. There. Okay. So yeah. So this is really turning out nice. I really like this garden. This is right now is the most complicated part of the design that I'm stitching. Yeah, the tree was really complicated, and I finished the tree, and now all of my complexity is down here. But yeah, I'll give you a little bit closer look so you can see. I really like the look of these fence posts. I really like those actually. So yeah, that is Amid Amish Life, and like I say, I'm really happy with what I have been able to accomplish, and I feel like I'm actually making good progress towards getting this finished. I still have a long ways to go. Like I've still got all of this that has to be stitched, so it's still a long ways. When I started doing this half monogamous stitching, I thought, I'll be finished. I'll finish this in no time, and then I'll be able to move on to stuff. Well, it's taken me longer than I thought it would, and that's not a bad thing. I mean, I'm not discouraged with it or anything, but it is turning into like that. That's like a major part of my focus right now, I guess. And I'm beginning to think that I'm getting a little bit tired of it because I think that's another reason why I haven't been doing as much stitching as as I had in July as I normally would, is because this has been I've needed to work on it this week. And it's like I get home and it's like I don't really feel like pulling it out. So I think I'm getting a little bit tired of it. I think that's what I've decided. So I am going to change a little bit. I've decided I'm going to move from being half monogamous to a third monogamous, which means every third project will be Amid Amish Life. Okay? I'm finding that I'm getting impatient with working through my rotation, actually. I feel like I need to be working through the whole rotation a little bit more quickly. I've got I'm about halfway through my rotation, and I am looking forward to stitching some of this stuff. Some of this stuff, it's been a long, long time, like I mentioned, Dragon Quaker, it's been since the beginning of the year since I last stitched that, and it just feels like it's too long. So I'm going to try to make it so that I'm working through my rotation a little bit quicker. It's going to make it so that Amid Amish Life takes a little bit longer, but I'm okay with that. It's kind of looking like, I don't know, I hope that I have at least one more finish with Amid Amish Life this year. And I think I still will be able to finish it, but I don't think that I'm going to have any more finishes. I'm not going to have a lot of finishes this year, and that's because I've got too many things going. It's kind of what I was afraid of happening. I need to. Right now, I'm not going to do Mania again. I don't think. I'll show you my whip status graph, and part of what I don't like, part of what I'm seeing here that I don't like, that it's going to take me a while to clean up, is if you see the line that runs down along the bottom, that's the number of days that I've worked on each project, and you can see how it's flat. That's because I had 2 years where I did a bunch of starts in Mania. And so that means I have a whole bunch of projects that are like in kind of the same state. And if I had held to my guns and just did a start at the end of my rotation, then that line would have looked a little bit more diagonal, kind of like it does at the beginning of the graph. And that would make me feel better, because I would have different projects in different states of being completed, I guess. And that it just would feel better to me, rather than having all these projects that I've got a lot of work to do on that I'm not getting around to doing. So we're going to try to emphasize working through my rotation a little bit quicker, at the expense of adding maybe a couple more weeks to the amount of time that it takes to finish a mid-Amish life. So what does that mean? That means that this week, if I were still half monogamous, I would be stitching a mid-Amish life. I'm not going to do that. I am going to start the next piece in my rotation. I'm going to work on the next piece in my rotation. And that piece is Sunshine and Shadows. This is another design by graphs by Barbara and Cheryl. It's the same designer as the Perfect Setting that I showed. I really like their graphs. I love these full coverage pieces, and the way they're actually adaptations of watercolors, I believe, and I love the way the light plays in them. So this is what I'm going to be stitching, and I'll show you what it looks like right now. This has come out to play a couple of times, so I've got a good start on the corner, and I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to hit a transition, which I'm really excited about. So you can see there's this greenhouse that goes up along the side. This is the brick walkway that goes along the side of the house. This light color right here, this is the beginning of a fence that runs across the yard. And so we're going to start seeing more of that fence, which I'm excited about. I'm also getting over, I believe I'm getting pretty close to the edge of the brick walkway. So we're going to start seeing lawn over here, which will be a nice change also. So this is what it is. This is, I've forgotten what fabric this is. I believe it's 32 count ivory, Belfast linen. I'll put a caption down for sure to make sure you know what it is. But I think it's ivory, and I'm pretty sure it's 32 count. Stitching with the DMC. 2 strands over 2 threads. And as always, I put all that information in the show notes, so if I forgot to tell you some piece of information about the projects that I've shown, it should be in the show notes, and you can look it up there. So that's it. So that's what I'm going to work on this week, and I'm really excited to work on this. I want to get some more progress with it. So once again, thank you for spending time with me. I really appreciate it. If you want to follow my daily progress, you can follow me on Instagram. I am at blitstitch on Instagram. And as always, if you feel free to like this video if you've enjoyed it. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, feel free to subscribe. That way you will get notifications when I post new videos. I'm always glad to hear from you and would be glad to answer any questions that you have for me. And thank you again for spending time with me. I hope that you have a great week and a great month, and we will talk to you later. Goodbye.